that a few weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen. It was a nice email to send to the membership department. And that was when I accepted the invitation to chair the new Brexit Party. Believe it or not, we only made the decision to launch this party less than 5 weeks ago. And let's just have a look at, hopefully if the technology works, the video, the launch video of the party when we started. Committed, passionate and determined, like all of us here today. Our next speaker is a very special person indeed. Although she needs little introduction, I'm going to give it a go. Hard to know where to start, really. But she was a Conservative MP for 23 years. He hasn't lost it this evening. And it's incredible, ladies and gentlemen, just in these 4 weeks, over 70,000 people have signed up and paid their £25 to be a registered supporter. And if you haven't signed up, please do, because we have a real movement. There is something happening, ladies and gentlemen, because frankly, those of us who believe in this great nation, those of us who are proud of our great nation, who celebrate our achievements and the greatest thing of all, democracy, we've had enough. Enough is enough. This great country has been utterly and totally humiliated by this Prime Minister and this Cabinet, writing not one, but 2 begging letters to overseas leaders and bureaucrats in Brussels as to how we should govern ourselves. There is no greater humiliation, incompetent leadership, incapable negotiators, untrustworthy politicians doing dirty, nasty, backroom deals. And a civil service that have shown themselves. I'm going to surprise you, ladies and gentlemen, because later I will prove there are some good civil servants, but more of that later. But generally, a civil service in Westminster that have shown themselves to be completely, utterly incapable of helping this Brexit process. But enough really is enough. This country deserves, as Nigel said on the video, we deserve so much better. And the Brexit Party stands for competent, capable, common sense politics. Because that's what this country needs. And it's been incredible, the quality of the candidates that put themselves forward to be our MEP candidates. I truly believe, and we had a meeting yesterday of all our candidates across all the regions, I think it's the highest quality list of people who've put themselves up. It's a brave thing to do, but these people have put themselves up to be candidates, and it's a fantastic list, one to be hugely celebrated. And you're going to meet 4 fantastic candidates, of which we're going to hear from 3 tonight. The 4th would love to speak, but she enjoyed herself so much at yesterday's training day, she lost her voice. Hopefully she'll get it back for the campaign trail. But our first speaker is well known to you. He's been an MEP for the last 5 years. He's also, before that, he was a very successful entrepreneur. He employed over 200 people. Please welcome to the stage, Nathan Gill.
It's a national disgrace, and quite frankly, Okay, thank you very much. I am getting this feeling of deja vu. Anybody else? Yeah. Because 3 years ago, I was stood on this very stage with Nigel Farage during the referendum campaign in this building. And here we are. This referendum to end all referendums, this you tell us and we will enact what you say. Anybody remember that? Yeah. What happened to it? Something got lost in translation, didn't it? Well, we're here to say that it wasn't just the English who voted to leave. Wales voted to leave. With an amazing 72% turnout, the people of Wales voted 52.5% to leave compared to the 47.5% to remain. But let's just look at that just a little bit closer, because of the 22 councils and local authorities in Wales, 17 of them voted to leave. Now, where we are right now in Newport, 56% of the people here voted to leave. That's 41,236 people here in Newport who knew what they were voting for. They knew. Just cast your memories back 3 years to that ballot paper. It didn't say, we will be closely aligned to the EU as closely as possible. We will keep you in the single market. We will keep you in a customs union. We will sign us up to the EU military. It didn't say any of that. Do you want to remain in the European Union, or do you want to leave? How many times do we have to say it?
Too many.
Unfortunately, one more time. This is your opportunity. The 23rd of May is your opportunity to send a resounding, get the message, we need to leave and we want you to do our will.
Including the very brave James Wells. Our third candidate for Wales is also very brave for standing up, putting his head above the parapet with all the grief that comes with it, the stuff on social media, you know, the friends who may say, why are you doing this? He's a local entrepreneur. He's been a dedicated councillor for some 13 years. And again, we're absolutely determined for Wales to get Gethin James also elected. So please welcome Gethin to the stage.
What an absolute privilege it is to be here on this stage representing the Brexit Party. There's a massive political vacuum in politics today. Actually, all of my voting life, I've voted tactically in Ceredigion, the constituency in which I live, and it's always a two-horse race. It's only in referendums that I felt able to vote for what I believe in. An opportunity to get my voice heard and use my democratic right to try and effect real change. I campaigned hard in the EU referendum and I was proud to be part of the majority vote to leave the European Union. I truly believed my vote had mattered. But here here we are, after 3 grueling years of being told that we weren't educated enough to know what we were voting for. Once again, fighting for our voice to be heard. Our politicians lied to us. They put the decision to us in that referendum and told us that it's a once-in-a-lifetime decision and that they would implement our decision. They haven't done so. These elections are our opportunity to show our disgust at their failure to do as they promised. Trust in politics and politicians is at an all-time low, and something has to change. That's why our message going forward is that we want to change politics for good and move away from the two-party system. Labour has dominated here in Wales for far too long. Let's rock them to their core. Let's send a clear message that we want them to respect our decision to leave. Mae'n pryd I newid y trefn gwleidyddol am byth. Diolch yn fawr.
Absolutely right. We've got a sense that we have, and some of which you've seen today. But we talk about leadership, ladies and gentlemen, and our final speaker, I believe, is the greatest leader this country will soon have. Politics than any other politician in the last 70 years or so. So before we welcome Nigel to the stage, let's just remind ourselves of him.
They will happen. Anybody that has ever been in business knows that when you sit down for a negotiation, both sides are prepared to walk away unless terms can be agreed. Westminster used to be known as the mother of parliaments, and here we are behaving, frankly, like a banana republic, ignoring the views of the people.
People weren't agreed on what leave meant.
Simple.
There was no manifesto.
Full stop.
But there is no
leave in the
leave.
single market.
I was here 3 years ago in South Wales, out campaigning in Caerphilly and Cardiff, in Newport, and indeed speaking here on this platform, and I could tell, I knew, despite the fact that nearly all of our leading politicians, particularly in Wales, despite the fact the international global order was telling us, remember what would happen if we voted leave? Indeed, George Osborne, our Chancellor, told us. Oh, I've got better than him coming up. George week running up to the referendum here in South Wales and around the rest of the United Kingdom, I got the feeling that despite the threats, despite even President Obama coming over to tell us that we'd be at the back of the queue, I got the feeling that through all of this, we actually were independently minded people. We'd make our minds up and we would vote to take back our independence. And I have to say, as the dawn came up on the 24th of June in London, I thought we'd done it. I thought we'd won. I really did. I thought we'd won. And then the following year, there was a general election in which the leaders of both the Conservative and the Labour parties said, vote for us and we will honour the promise we made to you at the time of the referendum, and we will leave the European Union. And nearly 85% of people voted for them. And I still thought, it's going to be okay. We've won. And then 498 members of Parliament voted for Article 50. And Article 50 said we were going to leave the European Union at 11 p.m. on the 29th of March 2019 with or without a deal. And then I really thought we'd won. And you know, I have never regarded myself as being particularly naive, but even I cannot believe the extent to which our political class in both of our so-called main parties have openly and willfully betrayed the greatest democratic They told us we were going to leave on the 29th of March, and then Mrs May, I disagree with Anne Widdecombe very strongly on this point. Anne thinks this is the worst Prime Minister we've had since Anthony Eden. I think she's the worst Prime Minister in history. She told us we'd leave on the 29th of March. She then told us we would leave on the 12th of April. She then told us we would leave by the 30th of June. And now she tells us we'll be leaving on the 31st of October. Halloween, trick or treating, I wonder. In fact, our exit date has now got more dates than a child's advent calendar. And here's the truth of it. If we allow this Conservative government and this Labour opposition, if we allow them to continue on their current course, we will never, ever get the Brexit that we voted for. And we know what we voted for. I've had enough of being told that because we voted Brexit, we're thick, we're stupid, we didn't know what we knew exactly what we So I made a decision. I wasn't, after 25 years of campaigning endlessly the length and breadth of this Parliament, I wasn't after 20 years of doing battle in the European Parliament up against my good friends Herman Van Rompuy, Michel Barnier, Guy Verhofstadt, and of course, top of the pops, Jean-Claude Juncker.
these arguments in Brussels. I battled to make these arguments throughout the United Kingdom. And I have to say, I thought to myself in December, I haven't spent 25 years fighting for this to be rolled over by a career class of politicians who have lied to us, betrayed us. Time had come to fight back, and I formed this Brexit Party, and I vowed if I had to come back into public life this time, no more Mr. Nice Guy. And by that what I mean is this party, this campaign that we're embarked upon, heading towards the 23rd of May, this is no longer for me just about getting the United Kingdom out of the European Union. There is something bigger. There is something far more fundamental at stake here. This is about what kind of country we are. Are we to be the kind of free, democratic nation that observes the rules and respects its citizens? Or are we frankly to behave like a third world country? I promise you, if a vote in an African country was overturned, our political class in Westminster would all be having a fit of the vapours. They'd be demanding the United Nations was sent in because democracy had been broken. And yet, this humiliating situation, this most shameful chapter of the democratic history of our nation, it's happening here in our country. This battle now is not just about Brexit. It's not just about getting us out of the European Union. It is in fact about sweeping away a political class who serve nobody but themselves. This is about changing politics for good. This is about the rebirth of democracy, making it fit and proper for the 21st century. It's about sweeping aside, if they won't listen, two political parties who now serve nothing but themselves. It's about getting a parliament that actually represents the view of the people of this country. It's about readjusting the relationship between the people and the politicians. The point is, they think and they behave as if they're the masters and we're the servants. And the process that we're going to begin on May the 23rd is we're going to make them know when we win those elections that we are the masters. He's just warming up. A bit like Anne, really. We've got a few questions that people have given us, and yes, politics is of course a serious business, but there's no harm in, quite rightly, people have put forward some fun questions. And I'm always tickled by this one. It's come up a couple of times. Nigel, what is your favourite beer? Well, I have to say, I do quite like Brains, which of course is... although I have to tell you, I have cut down a bit lately, and I've lost some weight, and I've been getting fit because, and I said to my family at Christmas, I said, you know something, I feel I've not yet fought the biggest political battle of my life, and I was right. So I'll enjoy a pint or two, but I've got to keep fit because we've got to win and beat this political class.
David from Bridgend asked a very good question of Anne, actually. If Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister today, do you think she would have honoured the results of the referendum?
Yes.
Would we have left by now?
I have absolutely no doubt that had Mrs Thatcher been Prime Minister in 2016, we would have been out by 2017.
I think you could call that short, sweet and clear. Here's a really important question for Nigel. Will change politics for good? And this is from James in Swansea. Will changing politics for good mean that we'll stand in a general election? And please, and how do we do it?
It is possible that if we can secure, with your help please, but if we can secure a great victory on May the 23rd, it is, I suppose, possible that our Parliament will wake up, realise how badly they've done things, and take us out with a clean Brexit. And then pigs might fly. It just isn't going to happen, and I'll tell you why it's not going to happen. We have a career class of politicians in Westminster, in both parties, who are in politics for a career. They have very little to offer the world outside of politics, and they love the embrace of the big politics of Europe. They love the embrace of the politics of the giant multinationals, and they genuinely do not think that we are good enough to run our own country. I wonder what you think. Do you think we're good enough? And that's the point. We are lions led by donkeys, in my opinion. I believe that it will be necessary, in answer to your question, we are likely to get our first electoral test in Westminster in a by-election, which is now pretty certain to happen in Peterborough. There could even be one, of course, in Brecon and Radnor, and we will, the day after this campaign finishes, get ourselves ready to fight a general election. I said about getting us out of the European Union, it's about getting back our democracy and getting people in Parliament that will respect the will of the people of our great country. There's a question from Gordon in Carmarthen. I think this is one for Anne, actually. What do you think will happen if Parliament cobble a dodgy deal together whereby we leave in name only?
If we leave in name only, we haven't left. I mean, that is quite obvious, and this is what they are trying to do, and have been trying to do for a long time. If we have to accept any EU laws or rules, then we haven't left. If there are any constraints at all on our trade deals, we haven't left. And until we leave, the Brexit Party is not going to go away.
And then Dean from Cardiff he asks a really important question as we face these elections and beyond. How can I get more involved campaigning where I live? Nigel, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Dean, I mean, look, it's quite simple. The first thing you can do is to become one of our registered supporters. And isn't it wonderful that in the space of 3.5 weeks, there are now 76,000 people who are fully paid up, registered supporters of this. Successful politics is as much about perspiration as it, on this stage tonight particularly, it's as much about perspiration as it is about inspiration. And I think in Wales, this is what needs to happen. We all know what a complete mess the Conservatives have made of Brexit. We all know how deceitful and awful Mrs May's new treaty is, and the Conservatives rightly will be punished in these elections. But the real story here in the valleys, the real story in the Labour heartlands is what Labour have done since that referendum. Corbyn promised he'd honour the referendum result, but the truth of it is this Labour Party is now dominated by a North London Remainer elite, and all the while he tries to play this game of sort of constructed ambiguity where he pretends in Islington that he's a Remainer and he pretends here in Newport that he's a Leaver. The truth of it is, in slow motion, the Labour Party are betraying the will of the people. Indeed, Lord Adonis, who is now standing against Anne Widdecombe in the West Country. Given the sort of form she's on, I wouldn't fancy his chances. But Lord Adonis said, if you're a Brexiteer, don't vote Labour. And he's right. And Dean, what I want you to do, please, what I want all of you in this auditorium tonight to do, in the space of the next 3 weeks, is go out and speak to as many people as you possibly can and explain to them that all 4 Labour candidates standing here in Wales have all now endorsed a second referendum. They are all Remainers, and in areas like this, with traditionally big Labour votes and big Brexit votes, keep putting out that message, Dean, please, and all of you. If you want Brexit, don't vote Labour.
Such a key message. There's an important discussion which actually Janet from Newport just picks up as our final question. How are we going to ensure that the Brexit vote isn't split between UKIP and the Brexit Party? And we can bring into that, therefore, the Remain vote and where we think that's going to go. So last question.
Well, the Remain vote is, of course, split all over the place. Because the truth of it is the others are all Remain parties in reality. And there is, of course, a new political party out there, very exciting new political party on the scene. That's right, Chucker and his chums, who utterly bizarre, and of course they include, and I am expecting, by the way, the biggest boo of the evening now, they do include Anna Sue, who promised her constituents she would honour the result of the referendum and has then done whatever she can to undermine it. Also reminds me a little bit too of Yvette Cooper. And I will, within the next fortnight, be visiting Pontefract, which was 68% leave, and Cooper said she'd honour the result. two parties standing that advocate leaving the European Union. One of them is a party that I was a founder member of, that I was national campaign chairman of, that I was party chairman of, and that I was leader of for 10 years. And that to be honest, I was very proud to lead in 2014 into winning the European elections, which was the first time since 1906 that a party that wasn't Labour or Conservative had won a national election. I was proud that we terrified Cameron into making a promise of a referendum. But I'm sorry to say, through all my years of leading UKIP, I would never, ever allow people into the party who had previous associations with extremism or violence of any type. Its poll ratings are falling off the edge of a cliff. They are becoming an irrelevance. There will not be a split vote. And I think in the end, history will say that UKIP played a very important role in British politics. But what we've got now with the Brexit Party is a fresh start with fresh people. Look at the calibre and quality of those I'm sitting with on this platform today. What you've done, resigning a well-paid job with good pension rights and all the rest of it, because you believe in this so strongly, it's a message that everyone in this country needs to know. Brexit Party onto far bigger, far greater achievements than I ever did under UKIP. I'm excited about it. I really believe Britain needs the Brexit Party and the Brexit Party needs you.